My departure point for this project was from the notion of the spectacle, from Guy Debord's Society of the Spectacle. Knowing what the spectacle is, something that is mass-produced, ready available for the masses, I took to write a piece of text in which reflects the ways the spectacle is looked at and consumed. My version of the spectacle transforms this notion, and the rise of the anti-spectacle is present. The anti-spectacle further challenges the dynamic relationship with the physical objects, and is explored and defined through my text. Over the course of starting this assignment, I took the time to understand why I'm doing this project. My research delved into the various ways of engaging with a viewer. These came from the art movements such as mail art, conceptual art, abstraction, instructional art, and surrealism, areas within art history that paved the way for the development of the project. Through various artists and projects, the ways in which I wanted to engage with my viewer started to become more clear and more detailed. Through my various sources, the term Surrealist Optimism was a term that arose. This is the form of art making, came greatly from the Surrealists in the early 20th century. The notion of making art came from their automatic gestures with the engagement of the material that they were using. This involves the artists involuntarily displaying their thoughts and subconscious into and onto the work itself. And this kind of letting go was fascinating to me, yet too loose for my kind of parameters for this assignment. Further development within my research, the Belisari assignments were another milestone with the development of the project. John Belisari was an American conceptual artist in the 70s, and the Belisari assignments were given to his art students in the 70s in California as a form of expression to unblock artists' creative blocks. Along with the Belisari assignments, I was influenced along by Grapefruit by Yoko Ono, a beautifully poetic book dealing in ways in which to engage with art making and also understanding the world at large. And Grapefruit touched upon the poetic nature in which I wanted to explore whilst developing my set of instructions. So with all this research in hand, it was time for me to make some material. So I knew I was wanting to use mail art and I wanted to use the Polaroid. So I just sent the Polaroid, just a normal blank Polaroid image in the mail and posted it to myself to see if there would be any artifacts or any kind of damage done to the image left unprotected. And a few days later, it yielded some very interesting results. So this was an artistic experiment, but it was also a very practical experiment as well, because this told me that I needed to protect my images when I would send them away to the participants in the various cities. And so making my instructions, I used digital black and white images to showcase the various demonstrations in which to use the image and to showcase my experiments, my practical experiments, carrying over into the finalized version. And printing those images on notebook paper, like I said, very much harken back to this kind of do-it-your-own kind of aesthetic. And with various printer malfunctions, I then printed out a set for individual packs, 4 cards, and tracing paper and stamps and an envelope with my address on it, making the process very simple for the participant. And so with various printer problems, I resorted to writing the instructions on the cards, and I think this adds a certain level of personal touch, and I think this adds a personal touch to each individual cards, and so these are a selection of images of what you would get inside the parcel. And so with all of these various materials and my parcels ready, I needed to understand who I was sending these to. And this was, I guess, the biggest obstacle in my path, because as I was unsure of who to send these to, should these be my friends? Should these be randomers? Would I even get anything back if it was? But I feel like in the time frame that I had, I just resorted to use my social media platform to disseminate the message across. And so these are a few of my posts that I posted out on my social media platforms. I got an overwhelming response for people to participate in the project, and that just excited me even more. With all these people eager to participate, it left me in a very difficult situation of, again, who do I pick? And I just resorted to a wheel name generator. And so I sent out 4 messages to 4 different individuals across the UK to see if they would be further interested to participate. And all of them said yes, which was great. I also closed off my open call to be part of the project with an overwhelming thank you. And so the 4 individuals were selected across the United Kingdom, in Glasgow in Scotland, in Dundee in Scotland, and 2 were in London, England. So I posted them out, and waited for a few days until I get the first results in. So these are some of the final results that I got from my participants. These two are from London. They yielded some very interesting results in terms of showing their process through its participant in the project. And it was very interesting to see how each individual took it upon themselves to interact with the material and in terms of even reflecting on the notion of what I was exploring. So, in conclusion, during the course of this project's duration, I've become inspired by the various ways in which to make and disseminate the work, creating a social presence that has a community ready to take part. My research came from places such as the Surrealists and conceptual artists of the 70s, employing poetic notions, and given the current climate, this project seems to fit to be realised in the world. Focusing on one nation, the UK, was just a starting point. With the international response I've gotten so far, the first selection of participants across the UK are the catalyst for much bigger and exciting things to come.